right. So today we are covering Knock's flagship product, the Knock Home Swap. A little bit about Knock is we are a partner for agents and lenders. Our mission since 2015 has been empowering people to move freely. We're doing that with the Knock Home Swap, our flagship product. And today that's the program we're going to be covering for you. So Knox Home Swap is the innovative lending solution, allowing your clients to leverage up to $650,000 of their equity towards buying their new house to do what people really want to do, which is live in the dream home without having to worry about selling that listing first. And this actually covers 2/3 of the market. 2/3 of home buyers are out there buying and selling at the same time. So 2/3 of your clients are going to run into this issue where they have a home that they need to sell, but they would like to buy the next house. And what they often face in this traditional buying process is a lot of excitement when they come to you ready to purchase the new home, but then they find out that they have to carry 2 mortgages. Oh, by the way, they have to have the down payment saved separately. Oh, by the way, the old listing counts against their debt to income ratio, so they qualify for a little bit less house. Even if you can kind of get them over those initial frustrations, now they run into listing the house for sale while they're living in it. So they're hustling out kids and pets at a moment's notice, all while fearing that they're going to lose the dream house if they can't break off that contingency. It's not really the best process for consumers. So Knock's goal with Home Swap is to empower your clients to buy now and sell later, shortening that buying process and making it a smoother transaction for clients. So your clients actually get to buy the dream home first, move into the dream home. They own it right away. So Knock's not buying their house. There's no lease backs or iBuying happening here. So your clients move into their new home first, they fully own it, and they start building equity right away before they have to worry about selling the listing. And what do our clients have to say about us? This is really exciting for us. We have client Steven saying that you made buying our dream home a reality without us needing to show and sell our old home first. And also great communication and no problems, no surprises, according to Brady. And I love this. When the process was easy and comfortable, it fit my life circumstances perfectly, from Patricia. And Dustin, you've got clients all the time giving these same kind of testimonials. What are you hearing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very much all the same. We've made it able to make people get into their dream homes easier, faster, less headache. And overall, it's just been a great way kind of to flip the transaction, make it easier on everybody involved.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so let's talk about kind of the specifics, the mechanics of Home Swap, and tell you a little bit about that. So first, this starts out with a conventional mortgage. Now, Knock can originate that primary mortgage, but we also, through our agent partners, partner with other lenders as well. So while we can originate this primary conventional mortgage that's conforming or jumbo, if your client is maybe already working with a builder, Dustin has one of those right now, or maybe your client is already partnered with another lender, or they have a banking relationship that they'd like to stick with, that's okay. We can still work with other lenders to make Home Swap possible for clients. And then the second piece of Home Swap is the equity advance and the Knock purchase offer. So that's really the part that makes up the Knock Home Swap. And we're going to talk about both of those pieces today. So the equity advance loan as part of Home Swap plus the Knock purchase offer. But let's go ahead and start with the equity advance loan. This is how your clients access up to $650,000 of equity from the equity they've built up in the listing. We know a lot of clients in the last couple of years have seen their equity skyrocket. The Federal Reserve actually says that clients across the country have $30 trillion of equity tied up in their listings. They don't have a great way to use it until now with this equity advance. So from the equity advance, your clients can access their equity for their down payment up to 30%. Plus closing costs. And I'm going to let Dustin chime in and tell you a little bit about how we work with clients to determine the down payment.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a number of options. It's really what comes down to what that client needs, what they desire. And with the Home Swap, there's also that element of available equity. So at certain times, they might have small amount of equity available, but that 20% or that 30% down payment structure might not be available, they can always start with a lower down payment structure, assuming debt to income can handle it. Most clients can. And at that point, they can move forward, get all the convenience of the home swap. And they do have the ability to eventually get that additional equity into their new home with a process called a recast. It's a great way to avoid refinancing and then the fees. But of course, a refinance is always possible as well too. So really tailor-made to any client's needs and figure out the best way to get them into that new home.
That's right. And as an agent, you know that if your down payment is up to 30%, that's a much more competitive offer. We're hearing from a lot of markets. You're now seeing competitive offers again. You're seeing multiple offer situations. Having a down payment up to 30% is a great way to beat out other offers, and a great way to help clients who otherwise would not have that down payment saved separately. Maybe they wouldn't have the closing costs saved separately. The actual cash clients need to make a move possible with Home Swap is a lot better situation. So they need, Dustin, the appraisal, they need their earnest money, need to pay for their inspection, but that's really it, right?
Yeah, I love to tell people that it is normal real estate. It's a normal lending. We just do it a really cool way. So you're going to go through the normal earnest money. That's going to come out of pocket. You're going to pay for the appraisal. You're going to get inspections. Very highly recommended to get an inspection. And then they're going to get to that closing table, and that cash they need to purchase is going to be sitting there waiting for them. And maybe even some home prep funds after that too. So it's a win-win.
Awesome. That's a great segue into the home prep funds and the other ways you can leverage Home Swap. So another piece of this is the ability to pay one mortgage at a time. So clients, typically when you're buying two houses at once, you've got to worry about the carrying costs of carrying both mortgages. Not so with Home Swap, because we are advancing the payment on the house your clients are selling from the equity advance. So they're only cash flowing one mortgage at a time. So we set aside 6 months of mortgage payments when they purchase the new house. We've got 6 months of mortgage payments on the old house set aside in the equity advance. And then we pre-reimburse your clients 1 month at a time. We don't want anyone to buy a boat, so we're not in the middle of the transaction. So we're not advancing anybody the entire lump sum, right? So we're sending that 1 month at a time. Your clients can leave their auto drafts intact, and we send those payments in advance of that happening. And it really helps the cash flow situation rather than carrying both payments. And then to Dustin's point about home prep on the listing, we know in the last couple of years, you've been able to put listings on the market in basically any condition and get multiple offers. That's probably not going to be the case going forward, even though we're still seeing multiple offers. Homes really need to be ready to go on the market and ready for the next buyer. So your clients can leverage their equity in the home they currently own to make those repairs without having to borrow that money separately or fund that through cash flow. They can use the home prep for up to $35,000 of cosmetic repairs on the listing. And so that's anything from paint, carpet, countertops, tile, anything cosmetic up to and including a roof, as long as it's just cosmetic, or even staging. So keep that in mind. And as you work with your NOC loan advisor, or you work with your other loan advisor as well, we can put this package together so that it works, the money works best for your clients. And then one other thing, I'd love, Dustin, for you to cover this. So we've also got the ability through NOC Home Swap for rate buy downs and leveraging equity for secured and unsecured debt payoff.
Yes, absolutely. So in this crazy rate environment, as you know, the rates have kind of gone up the last couple of weeks. They're playing nice the last couple of days, so let's hope it continues. But we do have the option, the traditional options of buy downs. They can buy it down. Our rate buy downs are fairly, affordable compared to a lot of the industry. We also offer a 2-1 buy down, which you guys might be familiar, which is a great option to have a lower payment based on 2 to 1 interest points lower. So if you lock a 6, you'll be at a 4, then a 5, and then back to the 6 in that third year. But that saves them hundreds, almost $800, $600 on average in that first year. And obviously they can refinance as well too, but rate buy downs are a great option, 2-1 buy downs. So we definitely have a solution for you.
Wonderful. And let's give you a little bit more information about how HomeSwap works. We've just covered the equity advance and how you can help your clients leverage their equity to make that transition to the dream house. The second piece of Knock HomeSwap is the Knock purchase offer. This is your security blanket, okay? This is your safety security in the process. And this is also how your clients make the offer on the new house non-contingent on the listing selling. And we're able to do that by overlooking the debt to income ratio. So Dustin, I'd love for you to tell everyone a little bit about that, how we're overlooking the payment and the DTI so that their offer is non-contingent.
Yes, absolutely. So this is, very importantly, it's a conventional loan. We can also do this with jumbo loans as well too. But Miss Fannie Mae and Mr. Freddie Mac, as you might be familiar with them, they have a guideline that says as long as there is a non-contingent offer on the outgoing home, you can exclude that debt. It's right there in black and white. You can go look it up. But that is what is the magic stuff that helps make this non-contingent. So as soon as you get that pre-approval from us, they're also going to have our offer available. And our offer is very much a plan B, plan C really for them. But that makes them, non-contingent. They can get out, get that dream house first, and then worry about the new one and then sell it later on.
That's great. And to your point, so the Knock purchase offer is an optional second position backup offer that Knock places on your client's listing, the home that they will be selling, as this backup position, allowing your client to be non-contingent. It's roughly 80% of market value for your client's listing, but we still want you to sell it on the open market, maximize your client's ROI. This is just the part that allows us, as Dustin said, to overlook that payment and allow your client to be non-contingent on the sale of their listing. It's also the safety net. Now, I'll let Dustin cover that. This is designed to keep your clients in the black.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have 6 months from the time you purchase that new home to get your old house sold, which is plenty, especially in most markets. So what you do is basically get that house sold, sell it to whomever you'd like for as much as you can. At the end of those 6 months, if for some reason it's not selling, they do have the option to sell to us. And we've designed all the money that we are advancing around that scenario. So we're not going to over advance money on them. So if they do end up selling it to us, we want them to remain in the black or maybe a little bit of profit, break even at worst, but we do design it to have a little bit of extra proceeds available at that point too. So worst case scenario, they are going to get out of the house. They have the option to keep the house too, if they have the funds to pay us back. But each one's a separate scenario we can go over as needed.
Yeah, that's great. And it comes up less than 1% of the time, right? That anyone reaches the 6-month mark. So it's an option, but not an obligation to exercise that backup offer. This also allows your clients to move faster, right? So they can actually buy the dream home faster by leveraging HomeSwap, and this gets them to the closing table faster with this safety net running in the background. So how do you refer your clients to Knock? That is the next kind of logical question here. So you can verify that your client's listing qualifies. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Right from your agent dashboard, you'll need to create an account if you don't already have one to access the dashboard. We'll show you how to do that at the end. Then you can verify your client's equity position. And I'd love for Dustin to cover sort of the ideal equity position for clients.
Yeah, absolutely. So as long as there's equity in the home, there's a chance we can advance something, but it gets easy at around 30% equity when it comes down to it. So the more equity they have, the more we're able to advance, the more we can do. So at certain points, if they do need that home prep, if they do need some debt payoff as well too, the more equity they have in combination with down payment and closing costs, the better and easier it gets for the client. So the more the merrier. 30% seems to be kind of the magic spot at that minimum point.
Yeah, and that's 30% of gross equity. So that's before commissions are calculated for agents. I also want to let you know that once you create an agent account, you'll be able to see our daily interest rates. We publish those to your dashboard every day. We audit them daily, keep them really current and very competitive. And then you can also invite your client to apply right there from the dashboard. So whether they're working with another lender or they're going to be working with Knock for their primary mortgage, you can invite them to apply right there from your dashboard. And we'll show you how to do that at the end. All right, so let's kind of walk through what a typical buying process looks like with Knock Home Swap. So first, you're going to go to that dashboard, verify that your client's listing qualifies. You can also verify that they have enough equity. It's a really simple calculator there, so not very complicated. And you can make sure to invite your client to apply. Then once your clients are approved, you take them out shopping with that approval that's non-contingent on the sale of their listing. So your clients still have a home to live in. They keep living life in their current house the way they always have while they're out shopping for the new house. That's a great way to get people off the fence and out shopping because their listing isn't going on the market right away. No one's pushing them out of that listing and they're not living through repairs and showings. So it's a really easy way for clients to start looking for the new house. And we all know once clients go shopping, they typically find a house that they love, right? And then we close on the Knock Home Swap Equity Advance. That's the equity advance portion that we've been talking about, how your clients access their equity. We close on that 4 days prior to you closing the purchase mortgage. Okay, so that your funds are available at title when your clients go to close the new loan, their down payment, their closing costs, everything's already there waiting for them. So we do that 4 days prior. Now, if you've got someone already in process of closing, maybe you've got someone with a contingent offer they keep down when they make offers, you'd like to remove that contingency, or maybe your clients could move if they had the down payment saved separately, they need a little more cash to close. You can do that. We can close these in as little as 8 business days. So it's pretty amazing. If you've got someone in flight, think about this as well. But once your clients are ready to close on the new house, that's when the 6 months begins on the 0% equity advance. So the equity advance is 0% for up to 6 months, and it doesn't start until they close on the new house. Dustin, I'd love for you to tell us how that works when clients are doing new construction. Great way to do new construction.
Absolutely. Just like Shelley said, once that home closes, that's when the timelines start. So new construction could be done this coming August. So they're going to buy that home August. Well, if a builder's involved, there's probably going to be a delay. So let's call it September. But at that point, they're going to buy that new home in September. And then once they buy that new home, Knock will make that first payment to them, starting with that first payment due after they purchase that home. So that's when the 6-month timeline starts. So they can get everything squared away up here in March, April, and then be ready to purchase when it comes time.
That's right. And so then once you've got CO and you close on the new house, then you've got 45 days to put the listing on the market, get the listing sold, which pays off the equity advance, and the home swap is complete. It's a really simple process, allowing your clients to take their time shopping or building, if that's the situation that they're in. They can take their time, go out shopping with their pre-approval that is not contingent on the sale of their listing. And then once they close on the new house, their 6 months starts. And then once they've sold the listing, pays off the equity advance, and your clients are ready to go. Home swap's complete. All right, so now we get the next logical question is, how much does all this cost? It sounds great, but how much is it? So for your agent commission, by the way, it doesn't cost you anything, and everything costs you something as an agent, right? It's usually monthly, it's by transaction, but it's completely free to work with Knock. Your agent dashboard access is free. We've got marketing material that we'll cover in a minute that's free as well. It's free to refer your clients over to us anytime. And then the cost to your client is a really simple 2% contract fee, calculated on the price you're going to list their home for. So most of the time you're talking to clients at listing appointments when you find out that they have a house to sell but they want to buy. So we made this really simple. This is a recent update. We used to calculate this on the purchase price. We've now moved it to the contract fee is 2% on the list price. So there's no charge on the purchase price of the new house. It's just simply the 2% contract fee on the listing price. We don't raise that if you end up selling the house for more. We don't lower it if you end up selling the house for less. It's just 2% on whatever you're going to list the home for. And same standard lending fees apply, but there is no origination fee if Knock is originating the primary mortgage. And then 0 payments and 0% interest for up to 6 months on the equity advance. I want you to think about in this market where you're going to find money, even with a 2% contract fee, at 0% for up to 6 months. It's pretty cheap money to be able to leverage. Your clients can leverage their own equity at 0%. Put the package together, just like Dustin said, the way they need to use their money to make the transition to the new house. And let's talk about why clients love Home Swap. Dustin, you'll be able to add a lot more to this as well. Clients love the ability to skip showing hassles. They don't have to hustle out kids and pets at a moment's notice, right? No one loves that. I didn't love to do it when I did it. And then your clients get to buy the dream home, not just any home. They don't have to settle for a house that will accept their contingency. And then also new construction, Dustin talked about, sometimes we get builder delays, right? I remember as an agent, by the way, I've been an agent for about 15 years. I remember having a client that was delayed 2 months in closing because of a microwave. A microwave did not come in on time, and we actually had to send somebody physically to drive hours down to pick this microwave up so that we could get CO and close. It was really stressful for my clients because we had tried to time the market and I'd already sold their listing. So they had to put things in storage and move in with friends and family. It's never the best option, right? And if they'd had Home Swap, they would have been able to live in their current house until we had that microwave, we had CO and we closed on the new house, then we would have put the listing on the market. So it really simplifies that process. And also your clients can move market to market. I know, Dustin, you've helped a lot of market to market Home Swap clients. I'm going to flip over to the map. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about some clients that you've helped move market to market.
Yeah, absolutely. Most recently, I had one come from California all the way over to Minnesota, up there. So what we do basically is that is a very stressful time for them, especially if they're changing jobs, if they're starting a new job, or just transferring in general. Moving across country isn't fun, and to have to worry about 2 home sales and a purchase and getting your mortgage right isn't a great situation to be in. So in this case, these clients, they got everything squared away up in Minnesota, and they moved there, and now they're focusing on getting their house on the market back in California, getting it done, and just really just the easiest way possible. They're settling into their new home, and their house is going to do what it needs to do, and it has 6 months to do it too. So great options. And by the way, we're going into the spring season too, so they're in a great spot to get everything squared away, all because of the Home Swap.
That's wonderful. So you can actually Home Swap market to market. You can see the states. It's 15 states, actually, 75 markets that Knock is in. As long as the listing is in one of these states in blue, one of these markets, then your clients can Home Swap anywhere in the country. So no need to worry about clients. Maybe I'm in Atlanta, so maybe their listings in Atlanta and they're trying to move to New York. They've got a job like Dustin was talking about, and they need to be there right away. Your clients can do that. And as an agent, you can still hold on to some of that relocation commission. You can work out your split directly with the agent in the next market, and then Knock can underwrite this listing so your clients can do Home Swap. All right, so we also talked about marketing materials available to you as well. You're going to need a way to talk to clients about this, right? So we have an entire bank of postcards, door hangers, flyers, brochures, social media content, all available to you for free. Once you've registered for your agent dashboard, you'll be able to access this. You can also personalize this with your information. So then it becomes sort of co-branded between you and Knock. And this is a great way to talk to your clients about it. Get your social media posts out. This is a reason to reach out to people. You've got access to Home Swap. People need to move, but they might be a little bit afraid of the market. This is a great way to help people get unstuck and not be afraid of the market. And this is free again in your agent dashboard. I'll show you a QR code right after this so you can register for that account. But the next step is to register for your Knock account. You'll be able to see the interest rates, invite your clients, verify that listings qualify, get access to that marketing collateral. Then you can send your clients over and we'll connect them and you as well as an agent with a loan advisor like Dustin. And then you can close more deals faster. You can get more clients out there moving. As Dustin said, we're headed into the spring season. People are still having life events. They still want and need to move. This is a great way to help them do that. So go ahead and get out your phone, scan the QR code, and this will drop you directly into the dashboard. You can register for your account. If you have had a Knock account before and maybe you forgot your password, it happens to me all the time, you can reset your password there as well or create an account. And it takes about 30 seconds to create. It's very quick, so feel free to go ahead and do that. We're going to start Q&A here in just a moment, so feel free to keep registering and you can listen to us as we start Q&A. And you can get your client started from there. If you've got a client that you need help with right away, we will be following up after this webinar with a copy of the replay, but then also we can connect you with a loan advisor as well if you're thinking about a specific client, as we've been talking today. And then you can also call us anytime with questions. We do our best to answer the phone live, so you don't have to worry about prompts and how do I get to the right person. We actually answer the phone live, so we'll be glad to help you if you call us as well. All right, I'm going to leave this up so you can continue to register for your agent account, and we'll start doing Q&A. If you have questions, please feel free to drop those in the Q&A portion. All right, so Dustin is going to answer our questions today, and we've got our very first question. If a buyer uses their own lender, does it end up costing more? I think he's talking about the contract fee here. Does it end up costing more because of the origination fee or the contract fee? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we can tag on to pretty much any lender out there. Knox fees are the exact same. It's going to be the 2%. It's going to be based on that suggested list price from you guys, and it's going to be that about $1,750 in closing costs, essentially. That's what it comes down to. What that other lender might charge would be something to consider as well. Doing it all in-house with us here does not have that origination fee as well, too. Less cooks in the kitchen with that, but when there's another lender involved, there could be additional fees on top of that as well.
Yeah. All right. And then Jean says, what if they own a home outright? So maybe they've paid cash for a home. They don't have W-2 income, rather W-9 and cash reserves.
So each situation is unique, obviously. So with this, there is that need for a mortgage on kind of the front end. So they would have to qualify for a mortgage at that point. If there's enough cash reserves, you can do an asset depletion. We're kind of getting into the lending weeds with that one. But the ability to qualify for that Fannie Freddie conventional mortgage on the front end is kind of step 1 or 2 right there in the beginning. So very important to be able to do that.
Yeah. And Melissa says, so the client's maximum LTV for the current home has to be less than 80%?
So for that one, maximum LTV for current home is less than the 80% is what NOC will actually put the backup offer for. So you're going to go on the market, you're going to put it on there for every dime that it's worth. You're going to sell it to whomever you want, hopefully earn a multiple offer situation, and you sell it for 5, 10, 15 grand over list price. Worst case scenario is NOC after 6 months will come in and buy that from the client at about that 80% LTV. We call it LTV, but it's more fair market value. So basically, wherever you go on the market, 80% of that is where their safety net begins.
Yeah. And Rick says, how can we find out what lenders are available to work with? That's a great question. Yeah.
So anybody who's willing to have a conversation with me and my other loan advisors will definitely be able to work with us. So sometimes other loan advisors just need to understand, how does this work? And it's just a quick conversation with us. We have all the resources for them. So as long as we can get connected, we can help them out and we can go that route if need be.
Yeah. Kenneth says, is the NOC Home Swap backup offer the primary difference between Home Swap and other bridge loan programs? I'll start by saying, as an agent, I remember those old bridge loans that were 15 to 20% interest. They were due in 90 days. So I would say there are a lot of differences, right? So 0% for up to 6 months is the primary one that comes to my mind. And then I do think, right, Dustin, that the backup offer is really kind of a secret sauce part that we can overlook the client's debt to income.
Yeah, absolutely. So it really comes down to those conventional guidelines from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. That backup offer is that hidden key that removes that contingency. So once that backup offer, once NOC's in place, they're non-contingent, regardless of if their debt to income ratio is at a 48 out of 50, they're still non-contingent, because worst case scenario, they do have that backup offer in place. The old home's debt is removed and they're moving forward in this exact manner, no matter what.
Yeah. And then here's a question on the contract fee. When is the 2% due? Is it at the close of the existing home sale, or is it when you purchase the new house?
Yep, that's part of the closing costs. So it's all factored into the money we advance, everything that needs to be transacted at that closing table. Nothing's out of pocket. Only things that are out of pocket are earnest money, due diligence if you're in North Carolina, any appraisal cost. That would have to be upfront type of stuff. Everything else, the fees, the closing costs are all transacted at that closing table, part of the closing costs.
Yeah. And what about the lender fee? Can you tell us about the lender fee?
Yeah, absolutely. Same thing. So that's just all part of that closing cost at the end. It is itemized. It's actually taken out of the equity piece. So it's all basically it's all handled as it needs to be, and it's never going to be an out-of-pocket expense for that client.
Yeah. Alicia says, I have a seller who wants to sell their primary and secondary home. Can a seller use the equity of 2 homes in order to purchase the new one?
Good question. The answer is yes and no, mainly no, but it depends. So this is a good question that pops up a lot. I actually have some clients right now who are doing similar situation. They are selling 2 homes on the back end, buying 1 home together. They are using 1 home for home swap. So this is a primary home to primary home transaction. So 1 home has to be used for the swap, but luckily they're selling their other home prior to this purchase. So they are using those funds to infuse into this situation. So in this exact situation, the money we could advance got them to about 10% down scenario with all costs covered. They're using those additional funds from that sale, making it a 20% down, no PMI situation, and they're purchasing that home at the 80 LTV, moving forward that way. So you can use the funds from another sale, but it is 1 home on the home swap, 1 purchase.
Great. And Anne says, I love this program, used it last year. So glad I took this webinar as some of your numbers have changed. Yes, Anne, that's very true. So one of the primary things that's changed is how we calculate the contract fee. It used to be on the purchase price of the new house. What we were hearing from agents is when you're at a listing appointment, you don't know how to calculate that. You don't know what they're going to qualify for, what kind of house they'll end up buying, but you do know how much their listing is worth as an agent. So we changed that. The contract fee is now on the listing price, price of the house you're going to list for them. We don't go up on the 2% if you end up selling it for more. We don't bring it down if you end up selling for less. It's whatever your listing price is going to be. So that's the primary change. We've also changed the home prep. So it used to be $25,000 for home prep. It's now up to $35,000 on that. So thanks for being here, Anne, and so glad that it worked for you last year, and we're sure it'll work for you this year too. Melissa says, can a client qualify for home swap product if they currently owe more than 80% of market value on their home? Destin.
So it depends. Yes, they can. There's always going to be some money that could be advanced. At a certain point, it's going to start being not possible, or the fees have to be covered. 6 months mortgage has to be covered. Closing costs has to be covered. Down payment has to be covered. And if there's not enough for those 3 simple items, the 3 important items, is the 6 months, the down payment, and closing costs, they're going to be in the situation where home swap's probably not the best option for them. Or they might need to bring some additional cash out of pocket at that point, which is possible. They could do that if they have the money. But if they're downsizing to a fairly smaller home and the down payment is fairly low, that could happen. That could be just fine as well too. It really just depends on how much equity is available, how the debts are looking, and what they actually need to get into that new home. So the short answer is yes, it's possible, but it's case by case.
Yeah. And Linda says, if I'm close to 2 major cities in Illinois, how do I sign up for 2 cities? You don't need to. Just go ahead and choose the one closest to you, or choose the one you like best. It doesn't matter. We're not going to limit what cities you can work in. We just need to know kind of your geographic area. Again, if you're in Southern California, you can choose Southern California. There are lots of cities to choose from there. So that's another example. So if you're in Florida, maybe it says Miami, but you're in Jupiter, it's okay. Just choose Miami or whatever's closest to you, or whatever you like best in the city that you're licensed, or the state you're licensed in. And Carrie says, can this be used to purchase a second home? Kind of covered that a second ago, but let's make sure we drill down on that.
Yeah, unfortunately not. We're a normal lender, so we do have products available for those buy only type of folks. But in this case, the home swap is a primary home to a primary home transaction.
And this is a good one. Can you use down payment assistance like the Georgia Dream with these loan programs?
So Yes and no. It also depends on your lender in that case. So at NOC, we're not set up to necessarily handle that at the moment. But if you have a lender out there, and we do tag on our home swap to other lender, if they're able to handle it, then they can handle that as well. And so we can kind of be a second, assistance on that one as need be. So within NOC, unfortunately, we can't, but other lenders might be able to handle it. We can work right with them.
Yeah. All right, let's see here. My client is looking to pay for their new home in cash from the sale of their current home. Would they have to qualify for the mortgage on the front end for home swap?
Yep, good question. Common question, really. So in this case, yes, they would have to carry a mortgage for a small amount of time. They could essentially do the recast or the payoff eventually if they would like to, if they had that money available. But there would be a small amount of time with that mortgage before they're able to get those funds and hopefully pay it off at that point. NOC does not have any prepayment penalties at this point. We do ask you keep the loan for about 6 months, but it's possible, absolutely, to go that route if need be. But yes, a mortgage is needed on the front end.
Okay. And let's do Greg's question. What type of credit scores do clients need in order to qualify?
Yep, absolutely. So this is conventional Fannie Freddie stuff. 620 is the minimum credit score. Obviously, if you're at 621, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. You're going to get a little hit on the rates, but 620 is the minimum. Debt to income ratio depends a lot on your credit score as well, too. But for most people, the maximum is a 50% debt to income ratio. The lower the credit score, sometimes Fannie and Freddie lower that on you. But yeah, typical 620 and a 50% debt to income ratio.
Yeah. All right. Rachel's got a great question. So if she's making an offer, she's got a client approved for NOC home swap, she's making an offer. How do you get the listing agent who maybe hasn't heard of us yet or the sellers to understand NOC?
Oh, that is one of my favorite parts because like Shelly, I am also a licensed real estate agent. NOC started as a brokerage. We did this before we were agents. We did this in a kind of a more convoluted way where there was a couple extra steps. We realized this is a lot easier as a lender. We came over to the lending side, but I'm an agent as well too. And so I want to have that conversation with them. That's the best way to do it. Of course, you can send them PDFs that we can provide you. You can send them to the website. The best thing to do is just to give us a call. I know exactly what agents need to hear. I know what they want to hear. And so I'm just going to do everything I can, and all of our loan advisors would do the same to ease that tension. As far as they're concerned, it's a normal non-contingent offer. They don't have to worry about anything. There's no additional addenda that goes with it. There's no NOC addenda or anything like that. Those sellers got themselves a non-contingent offer on their house, and that's all they really need to worry about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And here's a really good one. Can you re-explain the backup offer part? Can you tell us how the backup offer works?
Absolutely. So the backup offer is that hidden key. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac allow you to exclude that current home's debt from the debt to income ratio if there is a non-contingent offer in place. We place that offer for them. It is also a safety net. It's plan B. I tell people it's plan C, really. Worst case scenario, if that house does not sell, they can sell it to us. We've designed all the numbers that we advance them based on that scenario. So we do not want them in the red. We want them to stay in the black if that were to be the case and we were to buy the home. I think we've bought maybe 4 homes. I think it accounts for less than around 0.5% of all the homes we've dealt with recently. So everyone gets their house sold. If not, we're there to kind of step in and help them out.
Yeah. Another great statistic on that is 91% of these are selling in 90 days or less. So your client's living in their dream home. You've got the home prep done. You put their listing on the market. 91% are selling in 90 days or less. So most of the time, clients have completed their home swap by the 3rd month. Rarely, like Dustin said, do they actually get to the end of the 6-month mark. I mean, when's the last time you saw a house that sat for 6 months? A house will sell at some price in that 6 months. And here's another one. It's a good one about title. Are there specific title companies that we work with?
No, not at all. Yeah, you can use whomever you'd like, and depending on the state, sometimes it's the buyer's choice, sometimes it's the seller's choice. We're free to use them. Normal process, we're just a lender to them. And so we can work with anybody out there.
Yeah. And here's one, if there's no origination fee, what are the lender fees that you mentioned?
Yes, it comes down to that 2% based on the suggested list price of that old home. That is the fee involved at that point. So there's also very small processing and underwriting fees as well too. We call it an admin fee. Every lender has them. Ours come to about $19.50 if you're doing the home swap in-house. So again, very affordable, very cheap in the end. So typical, those two little fees are the only thing you're going to see pop up as far as the cost of the program.
Yeah, there's no hidden cost. You won't find out about anything else later.
No.
And Melanie says, is there a time limit on building for new construction? We should mention that it's not construction to perm. These are not loans for custom homes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the builder funded purchase or builder funder construction homes. And no, there's not a time limit. I've had them, I've gotten contracts in January and they're going to be done in October, or, you know, a couple of years ago when there was a lumber shortage, it was a year plus. Totally fine. In that case, all they have to do is, you know, eventually we're going to have to rerun credit because it will eventually expire and get some updated pay stubs. But no, everything, the clock starts when that home is purchased, and whenever that is when the home's complete.
Mm-hmm. And is there any extension to the 6 months to sell the listing? Maybe you've got some improvements or contractors kind of get behind. We should say that you've got 45 days to get that listing on the market. As Dustin said, we did a previous version of this, and we would occasionally have clients that kind of like to hang out in the old house while living in the new house, not quite get that listing on the market. Markets shift. So we need people to put their listings on the market quickly. So everyone has the opportunity to do the 6 months at 0%.
Yeah, absolutely. And to add to that, if it gets down to that 6th month mark, and you know the knock purchase offers coming into play at that point, but you just got somebody who's interested and you need 3-4 extra weeks, maybe an extra month, we're going to work with you. To be completely honest, like Shelly mentioned a while back, we're not an iBuyer. We don't want to have to buy it. It's not a great business to be in. Ask Zillow Offers about that. But it's just, you know, we're going to work with somebody. We're going to make it easy as possible for them once they get to that point. So absolutely, we're going to be able to kind of get you going as need be.
Yeah. I've got a couple of questions about, does it matter where the listing is? What if it's a small town? That's okay. As long as it's a market we service, we're really looking to be sure that that listing has comps. Dustin, can you tell us more? Let's use your horse farm example for that.
The horse farm, yes, absolutely. So what I tell people is there's a decent chance that as long as your home is in a major market MLS, I'm in the Charlotte area, and there's a lot of small towns around here that our MLS actually covers. The big issue is we want that home to have some confidence behind the sale. You got to have comps. Comps are key to appraisals. Comps are key when you run your CMAs, all that good stuff. So the 100-acre horse farm probably isn't going to have a few other 100-acre horse farms around it. So the confidence level and the time it's going to take to sell that is going to be a lot higher than, you know, the home in the small town with, you know, it's near, you know, 15-20 minutes away from a major metropolitan area at that point. So comps are key. Comps are key in everything.
That's right. And you can always check your client's listing, be sure that it qualifies for home swap by logging into your agent dashboard, and you can very quickly verify that. It takes about, I don't know, 30 seconds or so. You verify a few key pieces of information there. Tell us how many bedrooms and bathrooms it has, what your suggested list price is, and we can very quickly give you a thumbs up, thumbs down if we think it's going to fit. So you can use that there. And then also you can verify the equity position that your clients have. It's really what you're going to list their house for minus what they currently owe is your gross equity position. And we've got that available at the agent dashboard. You can check that out anytime. And kind of on the same lines, does it matter? So we've talked about it matters where the listing is. It matters that we can find comps on the listing, but Dustin, does it matter where the new home purchase is?
No, not necessarily. So if you're working with Knock has to be a licensed lender in that state. And I think it was it 15 states you mentioned, Shelly, that we're in. So as long as we're in that state, you're good to go anywhere. If they're able to get an appraisal for that 100-acre horse farm and the appraisal works, you can buy that house. It's just, you know, it really comes down to those comps. So anywhere we're licensed, you can purchase a home. And if you do tag on to another lender, anywhere they're licensed, they can purchase a home as well too. The big geographical issue here is where that current home is located right now.
Yeah. And Greg wants to know, how long does it take to get to closing? I think we can answer this both from NOC originating and Home Swap Equity Advance.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we're doing the loan all in-house, we ask for 30 days to close. Can we do it in less? Probably, but don't tell my bosses that I told you that. But we ask for 30 days. And when it comes to the Home Swap Equity Advance, where we tag onto that lender, I believe we can fund it in as little as 8 days. That means the purchase side of things, because there's a right of rescission in there, the purchase side of things can be 12 days later if that lender's ready to go. So it can be very quick one way or the other, and it falls within every market that I've worked in's timeline of the normal, the normal closing.
Yeah. And can you tell us when clients find out the amount of the NOC backup offer? So that's a great question. When do you have transparency into how much NOC will put that backup offer for?
Yeah, so as soon as we have their application, we have their equity position, we know exactly how much we're willing to, advance to them. The one issue is we got to know your suggested list price. So as soon as we know your suggested list price, we know the equity. So they're going to know that from the very beginning. Just to give you an idea, the application comes in, I get my hands on it, I set it up, and the next thing you see is a breakdown of the numbers from me, which says, here's how much we can advance you, here's how much you need. And, at that point, you're going to know exactly where your backup offer lays and how much equity you have to play with at that point.
Yeah. Anne's got a great question. We actually didn't cover this. Is the maximum list price on the old home? So they're listing, there's a maximum list price on that. Anne remembers when it was $850, now it's $1 million, unless you're in LA or Seattle, and now it's up to $2 million in LA and Seattle. Great. Thanks for pointing that out, Anne. And Carlos says, are clients eligible for VA loans with Home Swap?
So with the Home Swap, remember that hidden key is that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guideline, which does not exist with a VA loan. Is there a way a VA loan can work? It's possible, but it involves handling both of the mortgage debts, and it's a little bit difficult at that end. It also has to go with another lender at that point. But overall, this works with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac conventional loans as well as jumbo loans at that point.
Yeah. And Alicia says, this is a great program. I've used it with 2 of my sellers and it was a lifesaver. Alicia, thanks so much for that feedback. If you've got any client stories, we'd love for you to put that in Q&A. We'd love to read those out too, just to give everybody some context on how it's worked for you in the real world. And Joseph says, I'm logged into my dashboard. Where do I go to see if the listing will qualify? You just verify your client's listing qualifies for Home Swap. Do an eligibility check is what it's called. So just go in there and you can verify their listing address, confirm the number of bedrooms and bathrooms. It usually pre-populates. And then you confirm whether or not it has a basement, a garage, give us a little more detail. And then very quickly it will turn around an approval for you. And Rick says, last year with a lot of offers over
Absolutely. Kind of went wonky there on me, Shelley. I don't know if you're still with us here. But looking at Rick's question, the over asking, that happens a lot and it could happen again. So with that, what you have to really worry about is that appraisal. So with NOC, we're going, and as with any lender, we're going to base it off of the value. So we're going to lend it based on the value of the home. Usually the appraisals come in at purchase price. If it comes in lower, or if the purchase price is inflated, then there's that conversation you have to have with your clients about that additional cash needed. We can always restructure the loan. The Home Swap actually helps restructure it fairly easily, but the best thing to put forward with that is that if you go over the list price, the appraisal is an issue and you may be on the hook for that difference. Yeah, so that's kind of the best way to look at it, is really just make sure the clients know the ramifications of that.
Yeah. And let's see, Rachel says, can you put the map up again? Yes, Rachel, I'll do that in just a second. You can also find that on our cities tab on the website. Actually, if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see the cities and you can connect with us there. And Nick says, do you have a calculator on your website to get an estimate of the home swap amount? Nick, sounds like you're probably a lender looking for how much equity your clients could possibly access. And yes, we can connect if you will we'll grab your email address and make sure that you've got contact information for that. And let's see, Anonymous says, you said the equity is based on the list price, but what if you sell it lower? Would you get less equity at the end?
No, essentially, everything's based on that suggested list price. And remember, you're purchasing the new home first, and you're a lot of the times purchasing before it even goes on the market. So everything's based on that true, market value, which, typically doesn't change. Of course, market value is what somebody's willing to pay for a home. But at that point, keep in mind, we base all of our numbers off that worst case scenario, that backup offer, that 80% market value. So there's that huge cushion of that 20% drop in price in there that they're still going to come out ahead, even if the price does end up changing, or if you drop the price after a couple of weeks of being on the market. So there's a cushion, and that's from some fail safes in there. That would be plan B, drop the price. Plan C, in my opinion, is that backup offer.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I love this. Rachel says, my situation is that we're combining two households, one including 80 to 90-year-old parents. So it made sense to use this program so we don't have to move the parents twice and try selling the house while they're living there. I think that's probably a great place to wrap this up today, in that we can really help multiple client situations. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to talk to your clients as well and see how we can help. A lot of people have life situations that are changing, and HomeSwap is a great way to do that with less stress. And to Rachel's point, it's a really nice way to combine two households without having the stress of everybody moving and then trying to find their next place.
Absolutely, guys. It's a great option just to make the whole transaction so much easier. So we're looking forward to getting to work with you guys. If you have questions, you can text us, you can email us, just basically get a hold of us, and we'll be able to help you out and find a way forward.
Awesome. All right. And for Rachel, I'm going to pop that map back up for you as well for just a second. Let me go ahead and grab that. And we'll be following up at the end of this webinar with a copy of the presentation. You'll also be able to connect with us. So if you still have a question that's outstanding, once we send that follow-up email, feel free to respond back. We'll be glad to answer any questions that you have that are outstanding. And Rachel, here is a copy of that map for you. Again, we're in 15 states, 75 markets. Your clients can buy anywhere in the country. Their listings just have to be in a market that we service. And we're looking forward to working with you. So thanks everyone for being here today.
Thanks, guys.